Hi, Ross.
What's up, Matt?
Hey, how are you? Good morning.
Good. I'm just trying to copy you today with the
You
black
what?
shirt look. Black shirt listing day.
Yeah.
I was hoping you're going to be on today because this is like right up your alley.
Yeah. What are we talking about today, actually?
Getting sellers to sell now.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
Me and you are going to get some talk time today, huh?
Yeah. I almost I almost went surfing, so it's a good thing I didn't.
Nice.
Otherwise, you'd really get some talking time.
Yeah. Yeah. You got some sun out there?
It's super foggy right now. I just tell my daughter we might be starting our May gray and June gloom.
Yeah. Sounds about right. We
There
just
he
had our
is.
first.
Come on.
Oh, Pete, what's up, man?
How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing
We just
great.
hit 100 degrees for the first time this year, yesterday.
Well, that's how you
Nice.
stay lean. Boss the Ross got to stay lean. He needs 100-degree heat. It's like living in a sauna, right?
Oh, yeah.
Matt and I
Took
would go,
that.
we'd be like puddles and dehydrated and not be able to function.
Oh, yeah. It's that Bikram
Well,
life, right?
well, that's
Yeah,
why we have all
exactly.
this. That's why we have all this fog here. When it gets hot out in the desert, it sucks all the fog in off the ocean.
It does.
Right. It's crazy,
Yeah,
right? Isn't that
yeah.
that's nuts?
The
Okay.
ocean here is still super cold,
Really?
It is.
57
Were you out
degrees.
surfing?
Yeah,
Mm,
I've been out every day. It's like 57, 58 degrees. And when it's cold and foggy air, it's a little chilly.
Yeah.
wow.
Not that I'm complaining.
Gee. Oh my God, that's so funny. Well,
I'm
let's
definitely not a cold water guy.
yeah, exactly. Listen, I don't like cold weather either. I don't know many people who do. And especially as you get older later in life, you want to have, warm weather all the time. But it's the weather out in San Diego has been a little tough this year for
Yeah, it
now.
has been rainy and cold.
Yeah. All right, let's start this up because Cam Smith is there. Look, he's in action. He's ready to go. We got
Let
Brian
him.
Yarber on. We got Ross the Boss, and we have Matt Battiata, who's not bragging. He's just applying for a job. He applies for a lot of jobs as he is not trying to be a world-class surfer. Uh, let's see who else is getting on. Roberto Martino's coming in right now. He's been fired up lately. He's opening new offices and all types of things. So that's really exciting. That's awesome. And then we got Lurchy coming too. Look at Andy's in a suit and his hair is coiffed. Would I expect anything less, Brian Yarber, than Bobby Martin's hair to be perfect? Look at it. It's like it should have its own zip code. It's so high, right? It's
That's
unreal.
right. Hold on. His office lights are still off.
Well, because he's in meditation mode. See, here he goes. He's charging up.
I would tell you though, if I had hair like that, I'd keep it like that too.
Of course. That's why a lot of times we're wearing hats, right? Hopefully later on in life, he'll have to wear a hat.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
This
don't know. I
Lurchy,
kind of like the gray flow.
look at there's the real estate opportunity guy out there in Philly. He's coming in hot. Look at him. He's ready to go. He's got a good Italian tan going right now.
Come on, man. It's from the golf course, and I suck at it.
Okay, well, that's okay. You're good at real estate. It's more important. We don't make a living on the golf course. That's all fun. We make a living at real estate because we do it full time.
Right.
Let's get to today's topic on how to talk to sellers right now to get them to move forward in a rising interest rate type of market and with all the doom and gloom news on the fabricated media that's out there every day. I want to start off with Cam today on this in some of the dialogue and conversations you're having with sellers right now to get them to move forward, not to wait after the election or after the summer or to see what rates do. What type of conversations are you currently having to get people to put their house on the market to sell it?
Great question. So good morning, everyone. This is going to be a topic that we are going to get into more and more, especially as the markets around the country deteriorate. So here in Southwest Florida, we've been lucky enough that we lost 25%. We're the biggest in the whole country. Like we are on, New York Times is having the highest decline in prices anywhere in the country. So with that, the conversations that I'm having is direct, upfront, honest, in their face almost. Like you're telling these people, guys, we are at just the beginning. I was around in 2006, 7, 8. I remember how that happened. And it really took like a year for us to, really get kind of in that bad spot. And if you have any intention on living in this home, or you don't have any intention on living in this home for the next, 5 to 7, I'm even at times saying 10 years, depending on the price of the home, I'm letting them know, and I'm being brutally honest with them that, this is the time we need to get it sold. Plus, we need to be really aggressive on selling this. We're losing thousands, tens of thousands of dollars every month that this home doesn't sell. And, the longer that you own this, not only is it going to cost you the taxes and the insurance. Insurance obviously is crazy right now. Everyone's down here has doubled. So, you're not only paying that, but because of the market and our overall market here in Southwest Florida, you're also losing that equity that you're still holding on to, right? That's what everyone's, most of us, they're still dreaming. They're still holding on to that equity. They still believe they can cash out. Well, guys, you need to do that right now. At least that's how it is in our market. My advice for everyone that's on this call and watching is you need to be a market expert. You need to know the percentages of the neighborhoods that you are talking to. When you talk with these people, you need to give them exact numbers. For example, I was just down in Naples Park. There's 149 listings. The average day on market is over 128 days right now. And the average price reduction is over $80,000 per home. Well, we listed a home and we sold it in under 24 hours. Why? Because I had this conversation with him and I was talking, the owner asked me, he said, what if we put a little higher? I said, no, there is no negotiations. You either get the one buyer that's buying in this neighborhood, or you're going to be sitting for 128 days. Well, sure as enough, you guys put it on the market, get a sign out there. 4 hours later, hey, I want to buy this house cash. Let's do it. And we got the one buyer. And that's what we need to, that's what I really believe for most sellers in our declining market. That's how we sell their homes. The first offer is going to be the best. 95% of the time, you guys, in normal markets, that first offer is going to be your best offer. And that's how we're seeing it down here. So that's what I'm telling people. I'm being very, very direct with them. I'm, laying it out for them, because the truth is they don't want to accept the reality. They don't want to understand that our market has declined. That's just the way it is. The buyers have went back to Texas, North Carolina, California, they're gone. The sellers are now evacuating, doing that too. If they don't want to accept that, I can't sell their home. I can't be the 152nd listing in this neighborhood. I'm just going to spin my wheel. So I would rather spend time talking with people, being blunt, honest with them, but giving them the accurate market statistics for their neighborhood, right? Giving them that information. They get to decide if they're motivated enough to sell. And then it's up to me to find more motivated sellers that I can work with. The job isn't for me to try to motivate them. It's to me to find the right sellers. And that's what all you have to focus on is finding the right people to work with that are motivated. So that's what I got for you this morning. I am really excited to hear about everyone else's and what you're saying in your markets, because I know everyone, we're all a little bit different. So I'm really excited to hear everyone's opinion this morning.
Yeah. And guys, what I've learned over the last 3 decades is good markets, bad markets, there's always people out there that are motivated to sell. They have to move. They're getting a job transfer. Somebody has passed away. They're getting divorced. They're outgrowing their house. They have too big of a house and they have to downsize, or they're having some economic challenges. I mean, you're going to see this happen more and more often, where people are losing their jobs, and you have to just be an advisor to those people and ask them what they understand about the process and what they're curious about the process, and then lead with the statistics. You have to be the expert. I love that Cam said that. That was great, Cam, information, because when you say that and you're very specific with the statistics and basically the analytics of the market in that area, because every market is its own economy, right? Every zip code, they're all micro economies. If a house goes up You know, they'll hear on the news, well, houses have gone up 10% in the last 30 days. Yeah, that might be in Iowa. And the house went from 60 grand to 66,000. But the house in La Jolla, where the average price is 3 million bucks, didn't go from 3 million to 3.3. That's not happening. So I think we have to really break down the facts so that these people can make educated decisions to see if they're motivated to go. Here comes Matt Battiata, you guys. He's not bragging.
Hey.
Just want to make this clear. He's applying for a job. Go, Matt.
Well, Cameron, I had a question for you before I go, which is you said your market in Cape Coral is down how much?
It's
From
around
peak?
25%, and that's actually in Naples, so it's Collier County.
In
Cape Coral is a little bit lower price point, and it hasn't been affected as much. It's down around 17% in Lee County.
Wow.
Collier County, though, is what I was referencing to.
Wow. Fascinating. Yeah.
Matty, we're going to go with you next because I know you're
Okay.
always on the hot seat. Go ahead.
Well, there's always an argument to be made for selling now as opposed to waiting. The biggest one is it's very, very dangerous to time the market, especially when the market's volatile, right? So what I always tell sellers, and you know, the reality, as we all know, and most sellers do not know, is that real estate markets, forget about the cycles and the fluctuations in the market, but residential real estate markets are seasonal, right? How many times have you heard a seller say, well, we're gonna sell in the summer because we know that's the best time to sell? Now, here in San Diego, the summer is not the best time to sell. And so I always explain to sellers, you know, a lot of people think that the summer is the best time to sell. The reason is because if you look at the statistics, guess what you see? You see a lot of closings in the summertime. But when those buyers actually make those offers is the springtime. So, you know, what I tell my clients is, you know, if we're sitting at this kitchen table in June talking about why the home hasn't sold, we're in big trouble because, you know, June, July, and August are pretty slow months of the year. Now, you can make that argument any time of the year, right? So, you know, if we're sitting here in November, you know, if it's August right now and we're sitting here in November talking about, gee, I wonder why the house hasn't sold, we're in big trouble. So, you know, timing the market is always a dangerous game, especially with all the different things that we have going on right now in the economy with interest rates. You know, for us here in California and here in San Diego, you know, we're on a 12, and really, so in the state of California, we're on a 12-year run up. In other words, prices have gone up really for the past 12 years, which really is unprecedented. Our affordability index historically, because you can always look back at, and this goes back to being an expert on the market. You can always look back at historic data to predict the future. Now, historically in California on a statewide basis, anytime the affordability index drops below 15%, prices drop. Now, the affordability index, which you can look up online for wherever market you're in, is the percentage of people who can afford to buy a median priced home in your market. In California, I believe right now it's 13%. In San Diego, depending on where you look, it's anywhere between 7 and 11%. Now, keep in mind, that's the percentage of people who can afford to buy a median priced home, also assuming they don't have any other debt, which of course everybody has debt. So right now in San Diego, I believe you have to make $288,000 a year to afford a median priced home. Now, if you look at what the median income is, it's not $288,000. So what's propping up all of the markets right now is low inventory. And whenever that changes, that's going to be a big problem for the market. So the point of the story is know the data, because no sellers know this information, right? And it's easy to find by, you know, you can go on the internet and Google this stuff. You can go to the NAR or the CAR website. There's a million different places to get this information. But, you know, doesn't matter when the seller, we always go backwards from when the seller wants to actually move. But of course, we can throw in rent back. So if I have a seller right now who says, you know, we don't want to move until July when the kids are out of school, no problem. We're going to put your house on the market right now. We're going to sell it in 30 days. We're going to do a 30-day escrow, and then we're going to do a rent back for X amount of days so that you guys move exactly when you want to move. So the worst thing you can do is let these guys roll the dice. And you have to explain to them, we want to get this thing sold and close and get your money in the bank, because time is the biggest variable when you're selling your house. Time is the biggest variable to an escrow. And what I always tell my clients is nothing good comes out of a long escrow. I say that probably 5 times a week. Anything could happen. The buyer could drop dead of a heart attack. They get hit by a bus. They could lose their job. There could be a terrorist attack. Another war could break out. The stock market could crash. Anything could happen. So why roll the dice? We want to get you closed and get your money in the bank. And the other thing I always tell my clients is selling real estate is a sprint. It's not a marathon. That goes into why we're going to price it, where we're going to price it. So those are just all, the backbone of all of that is know the market and know the data, because that's what a seller is looking for when they're meeting with you. Everybody's going to tell them we're going to market the house and blah, we're going to do all these things. They want someone that really knows the market, and by what you explain to them, you can show them that you work in the market every day. You're an expert on the market. You're an expert on pricing, and you're the one that's going to get their home sold. And sometimes you have to instill a little bit of fear in them, because they're all living in this Pollyannish world where they think the market's great and their house is going to sell in 5 seconds. And that's just a result of being in this market for the last 12 years.
No, that's that's super powerful. Let me ask you this question, Matt, as a follow-up question. So what are you saying to sellers who are waiting to see how things shake out past July with the NAR regulations and the whole, facade that they're saying with nobody's going to have to pay buyer broker commissions on the seller side and so forth? Have you received that question? How do you handle it?
Yes. Yeah, I tell them you could do, if you don't want, if you want to, whatever you want to pay out to a buyer's agent, you can do that right now. And then I explain to them how nothing's really going to change. Real estate commissions have always been negotiable. You can offer out 3% down to 0%, 1%, whatever you want to do. I explain to them why it's going to be foolhardy for them to offer out, say less than 2 or 2.5%. And that's an easy conversation to have. I was talking with somebody the other day and I said, if you want to offer out 0 concession to a buyer's agent, I'll give you a prediction. I'll give you a foreshadowing of the conversations we're going to be having on a Monday morning, which is, I got a bunch of calls to show the house this weekend, but when I told the agents that we were not offering out any concession or commission to the agent to the buyer for their representation, they said their buyers didn't have the money and they couldn't show the house. So that's why we didn't have any showings this weekend. So that's a really easy conversation to have. I haven't had anybody that says I want to wait till July because I hear I won't have to pay anything right now. But if I did, I'd say, hey, you can do that right now. It's totally negotiable. You can offer out whatever you want. But then I'd have a conversation as to why it's very foolish, not to do that.
Yeah, and keep in mind, guys, too, real estate, or I call them professional fees. Professional fees in real estate, get away from the C word, right? It's a cold word. Professional fees, you're establishing yourself as a professional on a higher level. Professional fees have always been negotiable. Nothing's changing there, right? You, like Matt said, you could offer right now 0% to the buyer side, but who's going to work for free? Ask, hey, Mr. Seller, where do you work? Oh, you work at Qualcomm. So would you go to Qualcomm every day and work 40 hours a week with no guarantee that you get paid? I don't think you'd show up, because you have no motivation to show up and there's no financial reward. So, either way, the goal is to get your house sold. They're going to bake it in there one way or another. If you don't have to pay the buyer's side and you say there's no concessions to the buyers, then what's going to end up happening is the buyer's agent's going to take that concession off your asking price right off the bat, because now he has to negotiate his side with his buyers. And most of the time they don't have that ability to come up with extra money because they're putting money for the down payment and the closing costs and all the inspections. And it's a lot of money out of pocket. To come up with another 2.5%, 3% is really challenging. So I think that's how you have to explain it. Let's go over to Ross the Boss out in, Palm Desert. It's only 100 degrees out there. So he's got the AC cranking. He's coming in as Mr. Cool. Look at him. He may not go out again until probably October. So he'll be in his house doing all the work. That's it.
That's where I'm going to hang out. AC to AC, man. Maybe the pool occasionally. Yeah, we got Coachella, so we got everyone out here getting heat stroke. It's kind of funny.
That's right.
Yeah,
All the
but
houses, just say, hey, beat the heat. You can come into one of my houses. I'll have the AC cranking. We'll give you
that's
some
it, man.
Kool-Aid, you know?
Yeah, all them teenagers, 10 in a Honda Civic. Yeah, no, I don't think that's who I'm going to chase. But well, if there is someone, we'll find them.
What type
But
of
when it,
conversations are you having, Ross, with potential sellers right now? Has anybody said to you, well, look, all the experts are saying if I wait until after the election, inventory is still thin and prices are going to really boom when they start lowering rates. Don't you feel when they lower rates that prices are going to shoot up again, a big wave? Have you heard that question from any sellers?
from all of them, I mean, these are all factors that are being publicized on the news on a daily basis, and what I feel people are conditioned to think. So our job is to bring our local and professional knowledge and tell them what is happening on a local basis. We can't just generalize the market to what's going to happen across the country. Like Cam was saying, he's super inundated in his local market. He knows that like it's not the same as what me and Matt are dealing with. He's down, like we're up. What I tell people is this: is the opportunities now. What are our killers in the market? Days on market are killers, and a COVID hangover price point's a killer. Let's do some case studies. And I'm able to present like all these homes that started off 200 grand above list because they got the COVID hangover. And then when they get down to the appropriate price, oh, all of a sudden, look, they had 8 offers and it sold above the list price. Why is that? Is because days on market and price point are the killer. So if they were to start it at that price point on day one, would they have had to make 4 mortgage payments? Would you have had to go through all this pain and wondering of why my house isn't selling? And the answer is no. We would have been right on point. We would have got you out. It would have been a much better process. And that's what I want to offer you. That's what I'm here offering you right now is a smooth, well-marketed process to where you're going to take all your friends who said selling a home is the hardest thing we've ever done. And I'm going to turn around and you're going to walk away saying it was the most joyful thing I've ever done. I got the money in the bank, like Matt said, in a timely process. I didn't have to gauge on having a crystal ball and a fortune teller because if you wait till July, you're going to get way more. Like everyone's been saying, we could be in the tank tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen. And if you want to secure your future, then let's get this done. And here's what you can get it done for. And here's how I'm going to get it done based on these market factors. But the biggest thing for me when looking at listings right now is finding motivated people already. So the list that my team and I are starting to call on are like vacation rentals. So it's a super saturated market here in the desert, especially in Palm Springs. And we're able to offer them, hey, if you sell now, this is what you're primed to make based on what you owed or what you bought it for. And how many years of this saturated vacation rental market would it take for you to achieve the same income? I can do this overnight. I can get you 16 years of saturated vacation rental income overnight. Do you want, like, I understand it's great to hold assets, but would you like security in these uncertain times? Would you like the ability to be able to get diversified into things that are actually reaping higher benefits than normal in the banking industry? These are things that people are very interested in doing, especially when they're competing. You have a 3.2 1,500 square foot house. There's a million of them that people could rent here, especially in these Coachella Fest and Stagecoach times. People are really feeling the downturn of where they used to be able to rip off 30 grand a month. Now it's down to 10, 8. It's a third of what people used to be able to get. So instead of like biting their nails if they're going to cover the mortgage this month, why don't you turn that into a huge win? And we can do that. And we've also been leveraging express offers by setting price point. We'll throw the express offers out there, and then before we go to list, we say, okay, this is what somebody's willing to pay. Let's do an average. We got 5 offers. Let's look at the baseline price point. Let's add 20% plus what the repairs were. And this is our bottom range of what a flipper would sell your house for. So we have a 10% range. Well, I'm willing to go up 10% from this number and test the market. But remember, what's our killer? Days on market and price point. So finding that Zestimate, finding that offer from express offers. So they're actually looking at offers that may even be enticed to take one so they can walk away from their problems. those are ways that I'm finding motivated people to turn into sellers rather quickly.
Let me ask you this question, Ross. So, the media is really negative on realtors, real estate. That's a hot thing. They're on the witch hunt. I know a lot of your clientele out there are kind of older people. They probably watch national news and so forth. How do you combat that with those types of questions where they hear, hey, I don't have to pay this person, or I'm going to make more money because there's no inventory? How do you combat that question when you go in to try to get a listing?
Yeah, well, it's just not the reality. What's the point of the MLS if we're going to be marketing to no one? Most people that I have the privilege of working with are savvy. They understand the way markets work. And if you're advertising to no one, no one's going to come to the door. We limit the buyer pool substantially when we say, yeah, I can definitely double in this for you for a single fee. Anyone who's promising that like just limits the buyer pool by 1,000-fold. So why are you going to do yourself a disservice when we have this whole we've been performing real estate in this way for so long? Why are we going to all of a sudden dismantle it, reinvent the wheel when it's not broken? So for me, people aren't really having a problem. People, especially investors that I work with or people that are buying second homes, understand there's a fee to do business, and that's not really a hot button, but it's a really easy conversation. Very similar to what Matt said, very similar to what everyone will probably say is there's a professional fee for excellent service. And isn't that what you want? And the answer is going to be yes. And then we can find out what they're comfortable with paying. And like, once you give them that menu of what they're going to get for the services you're going to offer, they're going to take the highest point every time.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And, I think all of our markets are different. We're all seeing it, and you have to have talking points, you guys, because everybody's going to hit you up with these questions. There's a lot of negativity out there. You got to keep it positive and be solution oriented. Just remember right now with what's going on, it's not monumental changes, it's incremental, and the incremental changes are adding up. With gas in LA at $8 a gallon, it adds up on people's day-to-day living. With food prices being elevated through the roof, it adds up. And then that's when people get into trouble and they're thinking about, hey, I'm living for this house. And then they get motivated, but you have to come in and bring them back to reality. It's not where they can price it 100 grand above the market and wait for that one buyer, the needle in the haystack, to come out and buy the house. You're better off pricing it competitively and get multiple offers and drive it up, definitely.
And my biggest piece of advice to everyone is just be yourself. If you're yourself and you honestly are looking out for the best interest of the seller and you're working your tail off for them, you're showing up when they're not asking you to, you're bringing them a gift, you're making the experience exciting. Like if I go on a listing appointment, I'm going to bring a bottle of wine along with me and be like, hey, this is my first gift to you for having this listing presentation with you. Like, this is so exciting. I'm super excited for you guys. You start elevating your mentality to equal their excitement to sell their home right off the cuff, and you start bringing like little bits of gratitude and gratefulness to each time you meet them. That's going to go a long way. And guess what? They're not going to care what they pay you because they're so happy to be working with you. You become part of their experience, and that's going to help grow your business also, because they're going to tell everybody like they made this the best experience because like Pete, you're awesome, or Cam, you're awesome, Matt, everybody, you guys are all awesome because you brought the excitement to me and made me feel like this was something that you were heavily vested and involved in, and you were giving me all these like hype moments. So those are good ways. Just be yourself and own it.
Yeah, and just get on their side, you guys. It's not you against them, it's you with them, and guide them. That's the big thing. You have to create that unity when you're on a listing appointment. And the first question you should be asking, and this is just my feeling, and I'll share this with you, have you ever been through a listing presentation? Have you ever been through the process? What did you like? What didn't you like? Let them answer those questions. Because they may say, yeah, we've been through one. The guy came in here and all he did was talk about himself. He didn't talk about my house. He didn't talk about the market. He didn't share the data with me. He told me he was a GRI and an ABC and DYE and all these crazy alphabet numbers that I didn't understand. That I really don't care. because all they're looking to do, every single seller on the face of the earth, and I know this is a generalized statement. What can you do for me? How are you going to service and market me? And how are you going to get the most money out of my house in the shortest period of time with the least amount of headaches? That's it. That's all they want. So we got to get off our high horses and make it all about them by asking them great questions. So those are the questions I would ask right off the bat. You'll separate yourself from 99% of the agents who are kind of nutty anyways. I hate to say that, but they are. And that's how you differentiate yourself. Let's go from Ross the Boss out in the desert. We're going to go into one of the major metropolitan areas in the United States. We're going to go over to the rose amongst the thorns, Tracy Fellows. She just got off her jet. She's in LA. What is the market like in LA? Because you guys have all types of fun stuff there with wealth tax and all these other things that you have to explain in certain parts of LA. Cam's laughing because if they had a wealth tax in Florida, everybody would jump in the ocean and never come out. So what are you seeing with people trying to decide to sell now or to wait? Because what we see a lot, and I don't want to speak on Matt's behalf or Brian's behalf or Bobby's behalf, in San Diego, the greater San Diego area, a lot of people feel the hottest market of the year is June, July, August, which I always tell them it is. It is the hottest market of the year because the weather is hot. But the real estate market isn't, because most people move, they're traveling or they're out of town or they have things on their plate. So what type of conversations are you having right now to create motivation to get people to move forward and get their house on the market this week? You're muted, Tracy. You got to unmute.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi to everybody. The first thing that I want to point out that I think I do a little bit differently than maybe some of the other agents that I'm going against, they're so busy focusing on pie charts and all the statistics, because they all start to look a little cookie cutter. I come from a case studies format. I talk about how I've made the difference and how I got a higher price, how this property stayed on the market with 2 agents for 8 months with no offers. And then I came in, did some refreshing, painting, small things to add value. And in a weekend, we were already at multiple offers because perception is very important. So I really come from a case studies point of view, along with statistics. But I think people need to hear what you've done. Because again, I know we all talk about, they don't really know what we do. They just think we put a sign out front and all of a sudden the people come and the gates are open, the Red Sea parts, and this is how it happens. But there's so many things they need to understand. I also use my investment background to talk about time value of money. I illustrate, that for them to capitalize on the equity in their home and potentially invest it elsewhere to generate returns. Waiting could mean losing on opportunities for future growth and diversification. So I try to get them to see how that investment of selling right now will increase their wealth, versus waiting and taking a chance. I always talk about also, risking what the market might do. The unpredictability of it. People were waiting, hoping that interest rates were going to maybe already come down a little bit and that maybe they'd have, so many more buyers. But what I tell them is, you don't know which way this is going to go. We don't know. And if interest rates just creep up a little bit, then we're losing our buyer pool. And we don't want to do that. That's a drawback. So we don't want to delay the sale. So those are 2 of the things that I really try and highlight, and I find that I have a lot of success with the case studies, and really just listening to their concerns and repeating it back, and then addressing how I've made that happen for another client and telling them that I'm the best person for this, this job. But Pete, I love what you said about asking them, have you had a listing presentation before? And what is your experience? I love that, because then you can hear what potentially went right and potentially went wrong. And now you can kind of pivot your presentation a little bit to understand where your client is coming from. But I really just bring a wealth mentality to it and case studies. This is how I've done it. This is how it's worked. And I can do the same for you.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. The other point I would make on that listing presentation, you guys take them back in time. You know, put them in that time capsule and say, hey, when you bought this house, what motivated you at that point in your life to buy this house? What attracted you to this house or this location, this neighborhood? Let them tell the story, because they'll look back at what they went through and how long they've been there. It's very emotional a lot of times. And then say, what is motivating you now to sell the house and leave this beautiful neighborhood or to move on? And they're going to share with you where they're at currently in their life and what's important to them and where they're trying to go to. They may say, hey, we want to move closer to our kids and our grandkids, and that's super important to us. We're both retired and we don't need a house this big. You have to get and write it all down and say, hey, that's so fascinating. Everything is great. That's fascinating. So if I heard you correctly, you want to get closer to your grandkids and closer to your kids so that you have more family experiences. Is that correct? And let them acknowledge it, because then you're sharing with them that, hey, I listen. I don't just talk. I actually get where you're coming from. And I'm gonna solve this for you. So we have around 23 minutes left. We have 4 more people that I definitely want to give input. So you guys give your best points. Let's go to Brian Yarbrough. He's back from Montana. Look at him. He's off the fishing trail. Tell us what you are seeing out there in the marketplace and what sellers are saying if they're trying to hold off, or they have this understanding that, hey, if I wait, I don't have to pay 5 or 6%. All I have to pay is 2.5 or 3.
Yeah, great question. And I would like to say this. My next book is going to be titled, The Market is Never Ready. You have to be ready for the market you're about ready to get into. Because that's what I just heard from everybody here, Pete, and that last question was great. So sellers right now, what we need to do to shift their mindset is to understand their current mindset. So in Cameron's market is different from Matt's market, like you were saying, and Tracy's market. All our markets are different. So what I really heard was this question, and I've been asked this question. I probably sat with 1,000 sellers, not as many as Matt and Bobby and the rest of you, but 1,000 sellers is probably a pretty low number to know that I've sat with enough of them to say what they ask sometimes is, what would you do? Or they want to hear what you would do if you were in their position. And I'll take you old school real quick. We used to pull out a piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, and write pros on one side and cons on the other. What are the pros and what are the cons in your decision right now? And they usually want to know what we're going to do. So what would Brian do in this market, knowing all these things about what's going on? So what Cameron did was he explained to the seller everything he would do, knowing what he does know about the market, right? You're going to lose money if you don't sell now. He did exactly what he's going to do. And I think we're doing a disservice to our clients if we don't tell them what we personally would do, knowing what we know with the data we have in front of us right now in this marketplace. And Pete, what you said was, if you can understand what the market meaning is for them, in this case, it's to get closer to the kids as an example. Well, then let's look at the market where your kids are and let's get you excited about what's happening there. So then we can adjust what we do for you here. Because if you're losing out, if you're in a high market saturation, like we heard, then there's going to be plenty of deals. Let's go out and make some aggressive offers. Let's see if we can't beat up a seller in the market where your kids live, so we know what to price your house at here. Because you might have a really good opportunity to get your home sold quickly if you're in a certain neighborhood, but where are you going and what's going on there? So I need to know the marketplace. So we're going to write these pros and cons. And really what we heard is everybody here has a great questionnaire platform, and asking great questions will help you get to the root of the real reason they're going to sell. And if you can understand that, right? I have to set aside everything I think I know about real estate until I understand the mindset of the seller. And as soon as I understand the mindset of the seller, I'm not going to try to shift it. I'm going to try to get them to understand what is going to be the best move for them. Should we underprice it to get it sold quickly so we can move that money? Or do we have the luxury to go out and shop in an area right now where we might be able to make such an aggressive offer that we make up so much money on what we buy that we can sell our property pretty quickly by pricing it right where it's going to sell, because we know the market so well. So that's my approach to sellers right now. I have a couple who are old school sellers and they just need to see this exercise. Like, Brian, what would you do? What would you do? And then I just lay it out because I know this, the market's never ready. You just have to be ready for the market you're currently in. And Ross was talking about the buyer pool, and I think Tracy was too. The buyer pool is going to go up or down based upon what we decide to do today. And what we're going to do today is, if it were me, I would put a 3% buyer's commission in there, knowing that I have to get a little bit more aggressive with my marketing to get you top dollar so we can get you closer to your family. If we can do it for 2 or 2.5% or whatever it is, then I'm not going to tell them this in front of them, you guys. I'm just going to have these conversations with myself, because I'm going to go in with a strategy that I need to really say to myself, Brian, is this what you would do in this situation if you were them, knowing what they're doing, what they're going about to do, and how we can best assist them? Because Ross said that also. It's like, just know your clients, make it fun. Even if they're going through a rough time, let them know if they're losing their house, answer your phone. If it's your bank calling you, answer the phone and tell them, hey, I'm in a rough spot. I need your cooperation, right? Don't ignore phone calls if you're in a bad, but if you're in a really good market, then let's just understand what the value is going to be for where you're going. That's it.
Yeah, I think those are great points, because I think a lot of people don't know how to diversify the money they're getting out of their house. A lot of them don't understand capital gain deductions. A lot of them don't understand 1031 tax deferred exchanges and how that works with the boot or a 1033. If you can explain that in depth and give them option, you guys, always give people 3 options. Here are your 3 options. Which one would you like to be? And the number 2 is the one you're trying to get them to do. So you explain the first one, you explain the second, you explain the third with pauses in between, and you have to have the right tact. All right, let's go from Brian to the best here in the business, Bobby Martins. Look at, and before Bobby answers that question, you guys, we all have to elevate our game with how we're perceived as professionals right now. So I'll share this with you. I'm going to be wearing suits every day with ties, because if you dress like $1 million, they're going to treat you like $1 million. If you look like $10, they're going to treat you like $10. I was with a developer yesterday for 3 hours, and I said, hey, I'm just kind of curious, why didn't you go with the area expert in this area with all your new construction listings? And he said, that's a great question. Nobody's asked me that question. Can you believe this? Nobody asked him the question. And he said, I called the top guy and he didn't call me back for 8 days, number one. So that kind of turned me off originally. Then I found out that he doesn't actually do the work. He gives it out to the people on his team. So I went by their office because I wanted to make sure the guy was alive, or maybe I had the wrong number. And when I walked in, people are in there with shorts, flip-flops, sweatpants, nose rings, all types of stupid BS. And he said, is this what I want to have representing my subdivision? So he goes, that was strike 2. Then he never proactively reached out to me or brought me opportunities. And by the time he brought me one, he was trying to sell me one of his opportunities where he never listened to our parameters of what we wanted. So I felt like I wasn't being heard. That's strike 3. Listen, you get 3 strikes, you're out. Done. Most people don't get after 1 strike. So Bobby's looking good. He's all dressed up. He's being a true leader. His hair's in a different zip code. I love it. Bobby, so what are you seeing right now with sellers who are saying, hey, look, the media is telling me I don't even need a realtor. I can just do a for sale by owner. I don't need to pay 5 or 6%. Everybody else will figure it out, and I can sell my house because there's no inventory. How do you overcome these objections?
So fantastic. And so basically what I'm saying to a lot of people right now is, look, it's we've got a menu of services, and we have 3 different commission platforms that you can pick from, and you can, we're trying to meet people where they're at. And and so I'm not really getting that, to be honest with you. I think people still want a realtor. There's always going to be some for sale by owners and stuff, but I think some people are saying, well, maybe I don't have to pay the buy side commission. As soon as you explain it to them, it's I'm not really worried about what's going on. But All right, let me get into what I got for you guys real quick. I know we're running out of time. Cam, what you said.
15 minutes. So you got
I'll
7 minutes to go.
I'll do 5 minutes. So, Cam, I know you said my job is not to motivate them. And the reason why it's not your job is we're in a needs-based market. It's not your typical market where you've got a lot of people like wanting to move up or move down. They're not going to do it if it's a want. It has to be a strong need. And so you definitely have to meet them where they're at. And so when I'm coming to an appointment, or even on the phone, I'm not attached to the outcome. There's zero selling. It's really about just me asking questions about them. Where are you going to go? Oh, you want to go closer to your grandkids. Great. So what would that mean for you? Oh, well, I get to be around my grandkids all the time. And, what about your financial stability? What does it do for you financially if you were to sell this house? Well, I wouldn't have to I wouldn't have to worry about money anymore. I'd have $1 million sitting in the bank, and now I can get, a high yield on that. So you got to really take them through the process. What is it going to look like on the other side of it? And there should be zero selling of where the market's going to go. In my opinion, we don't fucking know. It could double in value in the next 3 months or 3 years. We have zero idea. So that's why I don't focus on, hypotheticals. I basically tell people, we have no idea where things are going to go. Rates could go down, they could go up. In my opinion, though, I've been telling people my opinion, and this is just my opinion. I think rates go up next year, no matter who wins the election. I think the market is so hot that, at least here in California, in San Diego, there's no inventory. So I think the rates probably still keep going up a little bit, which is going to give seniors even higher yields. So, anyway, so that being said, let's see here. Another thing that I've been doing that's been very effective is the fix before you pay program. So you pay at closing. So we're coming in and we're basically saying, look, I got contractors, we'll fix up your house, do whatever you want and get paid at closing. They're confident in my ability to be able to sell your house. So that's why they do that for me. Okay. And so that really, for me, that's been a game changer because I'm coming in as a project manager. And then I basically say, look, I'm not here to just sell your house. I'm here to help you with the entire process. I want to add as much value to you and to help you. And, the thing that I've really shifted, and I'll be honest, the last, year and a half, 2 years, I've been juggling all the team stuff but the last few weeks I've been like, you know what, let's go. And I got probably 10 listings coming and I'm having more fun than ever because I'm stopping to smell the roses with the people and I'm making sure everybody in my team is picking up the slack in the other areas. My superpower is dealing with sellers and making them feel comfortable. The other thing too is if there's something special going on, I have one client that is wanting to retire his wife. And so that was their motivation. He's already retired. They've got a great property with $1.5 million in equity. And so he wants to sell it so that she can retire. So I heard that. I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. I got so excited. He could hear, everything through my voice, the hair on the back, my neck was, that feels good to me to be able to do that. And he picked up on that. And then yesterday I got to talk to his wife for the first time. And we talked for 45 minutes on the phone and they freaking loved me. And I took my time. I wasn't rushing it. And so I think we got to just stop pretending you're so freaking busy. You're not. Focus on the relationship with the people and meet them where they're at. And don't try to sell them. The last thing they want you to do is come in and tell them that they should sell. Because, and so think about it as reverse psychology. If you come in and you're like, look, I just care about your outcome. I want the outcome for you. I want to put you in the best possible position. And that might mean staying here. That might be the possibility that what you need to do. So let's talk about it. And so as you go through that, then the guard's down. They're like, this guy's not a salesperson. He cares about me. And I do. And if you don't care about people, you're probably in the wrong business. So that's pretty much all I got. That's the advice I'd be giving people right now.
I love it. Yeah, I love the come in and fix up the house and have that relationship and take it over as a project manager. It probably gets a lot of stress off them. Be a solution person, not a salesperson, right? because people have anxiety and they want solutions and they don't know who to trust or who to listen to because they get an array of opinions. And I wouldn't just offer my opinion. I would say, would it be beneficial to you for me to share my professional outlook or share all the professional information and data on what's happening in your neighborhood? You know, those types of things, you guys, because one of the big things you need to be using in this type of market, especially now where people are hearing, hey, there's low inventory, but rates are going up. There's no inventory, but things are sitting on the market. It contradicts everything. So I think it's important to say, look, let me show you what the absorption rate is in your neighborhood or your area. And the way that you do that is you look at how many active listings are on there and how many have closed in the last 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. And that'll give you an understanding. I do it for the last 30 days because that you want it as tight as possible. And if they have 9 properties in that vicinity, say a 1 mile vicinity or a 2 mile vicinity, and only one is sold, you guys, that's a buyer's market, right? When it's 3x or less, it's a seller's market. When it's 3 to 5, it's an in-between market. When it's 5+, that's a buyer's market. Because basically the market is saying 9 properties coming on the market. This is how many are currently on. This is how many will be coming on. And you can show them, hey, in the last 60 days, 4 properties came on the market. And guess what? There's still only been 1 sale. So what does that tell you? People aren't seeing the value in this hyper marketplace. And you have to show them that on paper and explain how that works, because everybody feels they're in a seller's market and they can dictate everything. And it's getting very grindy where people are being separated on just small stuff. Don't take the bait. I don't care if it's from another agent. I don't care if the sellers are pissed off. Don't take the bait. Always be cool-headed, solution-oriented. That's the key thing. Let's go to Dave Lawson, the luxury expert out in Park City. He's off the slopes. I think there's still snow out there. They got walloped with snow. He skied down the mountain right into his office right there. He popped off his skis and he's in. Dave, so I know that you have shared with me, because I love all your marketing stuff and how you present to sellers. You give them 3 different options based on professional service and where they want to go with things, just like Bobby was saying. And I think people like having options. I know you push for number 1 or 2, or 2 or 3, I apologize. And can you share that with people, and how are you overcoming these objections where, hey, I'll pay you 2.5%, 3%, but I'm not going to pay anything else?
Well, so first of all, I do, but I never negotiate commissions until I'm in front of the client. So if somebody says, how much do you charge? I say, well, commissions are completely negotiable. In fact, I have 3 different options that I'm going to share with you, and that'll be one of the first things that we talk about when I meet you at 4 o'clock today. And then I get in front of them and I have the 3 options. So here is Premier, here is Premier Plus, and here's Elite. And so I'm presenting them, and essentially what I do is I say, what I charge, Premier is 6%, Premier Plus 6.5%, and Elite is 7% normally. But now, Pete, this is a $2.5 million home. But let's do this, Pete. If let's say money, and I don't tell them about my commission structure yet. And I say, Pete, of these 3, if money's not an option, which one would you like? Only 100% of the people say, I want Elite through the marketing. And I say, then, well, normally I charge 6, 6.5, and 7. But since this is such a great property and I know I'm going to be able to sell it and I'm super excited about it, and energy sells, excitement sells, I say, what if I just gave you the Elite package for the Premier price? It is very, very effective for me to get a 6% commission. The next thing, when I did this, I not only prepared a few things. So one of the things is I'm talking to my sellers. You want to get things listed right now. I'm saying talk with sellers and say, we don't know where this whole NAR lawsuit, all this is going to go, but this is what I know right now. We can maximize the marketing of your property today like no other time. Because down the road, if people aren't, if buyers can't pay, then they're going to be a tremendous amount of buyers that aren't going to be able to buy. So if you want to maximize your price, I think today, well, actually yesterday was a better day to list, but today's the next best day. The next thing is, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what Bobby said, is we need to start asking more emotional questions when we go on the listing appointment. Don't say, how much do you want? Where are you going to go? When do you need to be there? I mean, those are questions that we want to know the answer to, yes or yes, right? But, ask emotional questions like, Pete, what would selling this home mean to you and your family? Right? If we can get with them on an emotional level and then they start talking to us, and then, Pete, what is driving you to sell this property right now? And what are the ultimate goals that you're trying to accomplish? See, these are all questions. It's WIFM, right? What's in it for me, from the client. And then another question I love to ask is, how are you going to choose the agent that you list with? And I wrote this one down. I'm going to change it. Have you ever been on a listing presentation, and how did it go? What you like, what you didn't? Okay. The next thing is Tracy. I love it. If you can see this, hold on. Shoot. Anyway, this is my case study. And everybody should have a case study, Tracy, yes or yes, right? We should have a case study in our listing presentation. And what really works is this one script. Tracy, most agents are going to tell you what they do. I want to show you what I did to get this Glenwell home sold at $6.5 million. And then you give them an idea of the initial meeting, the pre-listing, the presentation, getting the home sold, communication throughout, and selling the home, right? We need to have something. There's so many people that don't have a listing presentation, but most people that are really good do now, but very, very few people have a case study. And eXp Luxury, that's one of the things that we're talking about to all of the agents that case studies sell. And if you want to get into the higher price points, case studies sell even better. And the last thing I'm doing is I'm saying, you know what? So if somebody asks me about commissions or what they can pay, I just say, you know what? Commissions have always been negotiable, and you never had to pay a buyer's agent. In fact, you never had to pay a listing agent. You can go for sell by owner, or you can even hire somebody maybe to put it on the MLS. But the thing is, right now, it's more important than ever. And by the way, Tracy, when you bought this property, like for the last 50 or 70 years, you bought it under the model that you didn't pay anything. And I actually think that that's going to continue. Because, and the other thing is whether you pay both sides going out and nothing going in, or you try to pay some going in and some going out, it's still the same number to you. The only difference is if we lose, I mean, I tell people this all the time. I was a business but economics major in college. It was a long time ago. I don't remember much, but I remember supply and demand. If that's the case, then what happens if a vast majority of the buyers come out of the market? Then if we have way less demand, then prices come down. That's the number one law of economics. So that's all I have.
That's awesome stuff, Dave. I love it. And Dave presents it, you guys, so nicely and so really informative, right? He comes from a place of being informative and telling stories. It's really great. You know, Stan Stark hit me up in the chat. He's a financial lender, does loans all around the United States. He's great. And he said, listen, the positive news as of yesterday was any type of seller concessions when it comes to a buyer's professional fee isn't included with Fannie and Freddie in the 6% max that they can utilize for buyer concessions, which is a big thing, you guys, because they've been trying to figure this out. And everybody said that would eat up anything that you roll into a price, right? Because with Fannie and Freddie, you can roll up to 6% in for non-recurring closing costs, right? That's the big thing. And if you don't have to include the buyer's side on that, you have a clear 6% that you can roll in. So that's a big, big thing. Listen, we're at the top of the hour. Thanks for everyone. Great stuff. A lot of great nuggets. And let's see you next week. Everybody invite somebody next week. We all need to stick together. We all have to articulate our value, and we all have to stay positive. That's the key to doing more production. See you guys.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
See y'all, raise the bar.
Craig,
you
looking
guys.
forward to
Good seeing
hearing
you.
you
Hey, we'll
next
get you
week.
next week. Sorry, Lurchy.
I'm not worried about it. We're all good.
Lurchy always got the fire.
I learned a bunch. See you, Trace. Bye-bye, guys.